Hey, welcome to the program tonight, everyone. Tonight's theme is change your breath, change your consciousness. So we've got a great show for you tonight. My name is Dr. Asatar Bear. My co-teacher here, Leah Schaefer.
Welcome, welcome, everyone.
You know, we think a lot about what are the different states that we go through. On a daily basis, and then what are we capable of as human beings. Um, so we were just talking about this. We distinguish between short-term changes, things that can change very rapidly, right? Versus things that take longer to change. And
Mhm.
that word consciousness, right? That to me at least, this means where you are like right now. Like
Mhm.
what is the state of your thinking, right? Are you sort of defocused, right? I mean, that's one option, right? You could be like, okay, I'm spacing. We all do it, right? Or
Who, me?
I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just saying that's a state, right? I mean, you can be defocused, but then I mean, the remarkable thing is you could focus, and that could happen pretty quickly, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
could go from spacing out to like, okay,
especially
tune in,
especially if you're interested in something and you're
totally, right?
really focused.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You're like, oh my God, some drama's happening. Woo, time to stop spacing out and start paying attention.
I really want that carrot.
I want
Ooh, look at that carrot. I want it
exactly.
really bad.
Yeah. And that's a rapid change, right? Um,
Yeah.
and we want to be like get good at these different states of being, and that's part of what we do in meditation, right? Like we learn to focus our minds. Um, and then we also learn to focus on things that are bigger than ourselves, like, so like, can we focus on an activity? Can we enter that state of flow, and just be the activity, can we,
I love that.
yeah, right. Like that's one of those things that's always like so confounding, and people talk about, get in the flow, and then we go, so what do you mean by that, right? What are you talking about,
Mhm.
and don't breathe, be the breath, or people say stuff like this, right?
Oh,
We're
wow.
guilty of it.
There's
We say weird stuff all the time, right? Let's be honest.
If you only knew what I was thinking. I only let that much out. So
Everyone should remember that as weird as the stuff we say is, the stuff that we're thinking is way, 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 way weirder. We've already toned it
uh,
down quite a bit.
tone it I tone it down. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's the only way we can be live on the internet, right? And everyone thinks we're weird anyway. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
They're like,
There's no
yeah, you
It's
guys are
all
weird.
very natural. It's very natural. But some people love it, some people hate it. That's how it
We're
goes.
just being ourselves.
So, uh, yeah, so I love this topic because, I think everybody kind of wants to change in some ways. Like, we all kind of strive toward naturally, I think most of us naturally strive toward growth or toward something. It's like we want a certain thing, more of that thing. It could be something as simple as like, I want better decoration in my house, or I want to change like the way that I eat, or I want new friends. I mean, like I want like a community that amplifies like this part of myself, right? That kind of thing. Like, it can be like in really any direction, but I think there's also a part of ourselves that doesn't really believe that we can change, like especially if it's some kind of like long standing pattern. Those are the hardest to change, right?
Right.
Like when a pattern has been in place for just such a long time, and then suddenly it's like, well, I guess this is just how my life is going to be for the rest of my life. Like some part of us gives up. I don't know if anyone relates to that, but that's how it feels to me. It's like, oh well, I guess this is how I am.
Yeah.
But that's not true or real, you know? It's like if you think about a plant, like a plant will naturally grow like constantly, right? And it'll also constantly go through cycles all the time. So
Mm,
why would we be any different? Like we are organic matter. Like why would we it's like I feel like we have to like force ourselves into stagnation almost
mm,
out of like fear or whatnot. And that's dangerous, I think. I think it's really, really dangerous to do that. And so tonight is all about like how change is always happening within ourselves as well, even for the long-standing patterns. For me anyway, like that's like the thing that I'm really excited about for tonight. But
yeah.
then also like how quickly we can change certain states in ourselves, like using our breath. Or to me, it's inspiring the fact that like I can change my breath pattern consciously. So when I'm stressed or when I'm having certain negative thought narratives that are going on in my head, I will condense a lot and I won't be able to breathe very well, right?
Mm,
Like my yeah, like my body will like tense up and I'll like and I can't even my voice changes and everything, right?
hmm
And so it's like I'm actually like in that moment, like for myself, I'm contracting my diaphragm really a lot. Like I'm contracting
hmm
my belly a lot. And if I just take a deep breath in that moment, I'm actually changing a long stemmed pattern of feeling insecure for whatever reason, right?
hmm
So just by changing my breath pattern. And so that's the thing that excites me the most is like, yes, there are certain patterns that take a long time to change, but that doesn't mean that when they do change, it's not going to be immediate. So it's like one of these things, like certain things are far reaching, but other things such as like our breath is like right at our fingertips and it's shocking like how much we can change with it. So that's kind of the things I'm most excited about tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think it's good to remember too that like a lot of what we're searching for when we think about these outer things,
Mhm.
like you know, we want our relationships to be a certain way, right? Like you mentioned, or having friends, or having an intimate relationship, or whatever, or having that be a certain way. Like
Right.
a lot of
Having it be a
times,
certain way.
yeah, it's like a lot of times what we're looking for is an inner state, um,
Such a good point. Yeah.
yeah, and then that's like our problem in a lot of ways, right? Is that we're searching for an inner state through outer things, and it's always a lot harder. The outer things we have a lot less control over. I mean, we our greatest leverage is over ourselves. That is the thing that we
Mhm.
have the absolute most ability to change. Um, and how often do we're seeking, striving to get something outside of ourselves, and then when we get it, and it's like, oh, what did we get, right? um, Maybe we
Yeah.
got a feeling of peace, we got a feeling of accomplishment, maybe we got a feeling of connection, maybe it was a feeling of safety, maybe it was a feeling of power.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting that these are all states that we could access directly.
Oh
Not that we
yeah.
shouldn't do outer things, of course we should, right? I mean, we're sent here to fully experience life. I mean, we're not just pure spirit beings, right? We are physical beings as well, right? We have emotional self. We have a mind. We're here to put all this to use, but it just, how often do we confuse that, right? How often do we forget,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, that what we're looking for is often within us. And that's something that I think, I mean, meditation is about remembering what we already know, to some extent.
Yeah. That
Um,
made me so happy that when you said that, when you were like, "That's something we can create inside of ourselves," like this feeling of peace or this feeling of love or deep connection, and we can create that in meditation. I was like, "Yeah, like,
yeah,
that's why I meditate," you know? Like,
totally.
it's just to me, it's the most exciting thing in the world because it's true, you know? Like I don't know, existence probably is gonna be hard for a very long time. I don't see any
Yeah.
euphoria coming anytime soon to our existence yet. But that doesn't mean it doesn't need to be in our own personal world. And then when it's in our own personal world, like what an influence that has on the people around us, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also like the further you go with meditation, I mean like the more you see what's possible, right? The more you feel
Yeah.
what's possible. I mean, just having these experiences where you just change your state so much, where and it's hard to believe, it's hard to even imagine, right, that that's even possible. Like the way that
Yeah.
the energy within you builds, or sometimes you could think of it as the resistance that you yourself put in place to prevent
Yes.
very natural experiences from happening
Yes.
gets weaker. You start to ask that,
It's crazy.
you know
Yeah. We don't even know we're doing it. Like, and we do it all the time, like yeah, like, it's so the way it shows up for me, for example, would be like, I get so much love from so many people in my life, but it's like I'll hyper focus on that one person that I want to get love from, and like they if they're not giving me the love, then I can't even necessarily feel the rest of it. And
yeah.
that is a huge way that I'm hindering myself from receiving universal love in any given moment.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, it's powerful to realize
that's a great
that.
example.
Thank
Right.
you. It's
How often
powerful to
do we
realize,
respond?
yeah, and to start to realize like the way we resist these things, like because they do exist in abundance. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, let's try it out a little bit then, shall we? Let's try to let's
see,
try to
let's see what we can cook up here.
experience. Yeah, let's see what we can do. Um, let's try to change our consciousness. It sounds so fancy when you put it that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is a fancy show.
We do fancy stuff every week, of course. Sometimes it sounds simpler or whatever. Uh, so if you're ready, we'll do some meditation. Find your posture and try to create a good upright position in your body, so that your spine is upright, your head is in line. A lot of times we're doing this, right? We're kind of putting our head too far forward. Just gently bring that back. Um, that's what I'm often having to remind myself to do, is just to kind of sit back a little bit. We're so used to being active and we lean forward, right? What happens if we lean back a little bit and just kind of come into balance, come into alignment, just physically in the way that we're sitting. And we're looking for it to be easy. We want to be upright, but we want it to be easy at the same time. So, that's one of these things that sounds simple, but it takes some awareness, some consciousness to focus on. Now, when I'm sitting, I sit in a chair. I want my knees to be even with my hips or a little bit lower. And when I've gotten that posture down, I'm going to just tune into my breath, close my eyes, and just become aware of your breath. Now, your mind is going to keep on thinking, but you have a little bit less input into that system because you're being still. You have your eyes closed, so you have less input coming in. And now focus your attention on your breath and just really notice the breath coming in and the breath going out. Becoming aware of your breath means becoming aware of your energy at a fundamental level. Breath is life. Breath is energy. Breath is life force. By paying attention to that, you're paying attention to your life energy. Now begin to deepen the breath. So to do that, you breathe into your belly. As you breathe in, relax your belly and allow it to expand and get bigger. Allow your belly to just blow up like a balloon. And as you breathe out, contract your belly, bringing your belly toward your spine, squeezing out the breath. Breathing down into the belly is what we do when we're relaxed. It sends a signal to our nervous system to start to chill, start to relax, start to bring down that heart rate, start to produce a different set of chemicals and hormones and so forth in the body, which slow the heart rate and reduce the stress related chemicals, lower the blood pressure, and so on. Now, we breathe this way when we sleep. But of course, when we sleep, we are horizontal. And now we're trying to really be upright and vertical. So our bodies here getting very contrary signals, because when we're upright and vertical, well, then we tend to be active and engaged, and we're not closing our eyes. We're not usually being very still. So this is a very contrary set of signals that we're sending to our bodies and minds here. Breathing in a very relaxed way, and yet having a very upright and very energized posture. And you might notice that as you disconnect from the external stimuli somewhat, you're not looking around, you're not moving around, you're just sitting still and breathing, that your mind might do different things. Your minds might start to become more active. Thoughts that you didn't realize were present might come to you. Your mind might even begin to feel kind of uncontrolled. You might start to get anxious even. And this is why it's often the case that people avoid meditating. Because look at what you're doing. You're alone with your thoughts. And how often do we try to distract ourselves from our thoughts and our feelings? We don't spend time in silence. We have the radio on or the TV on, or we're someplace where people are talking. We have that stimuli going all the time. And it directs our thoughts along those pathways. So here's a secret for you. Your mind starts to get disturbed if you start to feel anxious, if your thoughts start to feel kind of jangly and disordered even. You gather that up with your breath and just imagine that you're breathing directly into the very center of your chest. Give your mind the help and support of your heart. the center of your emotional body, the center of all that you value, all that you hold sacred, all that you love, and all that you are. Let your mind know that that center is there. And pay close attention now to your breath, because when your thoughts become disordered, when your thoughts become anxious, it is often the case that your breath will become disordered. That is, you will start holding your breath. Your breath will not be smooth. So really work on making your breath smooth. Don't interrupt the breath pattern. Allow the breath to flow. Breathe out. Let the breath flow out. Breathe in. Let the breath flow in. No pauses, no jaggedness, no interruptions. Smooth, even breath. As you breathe and as you relax, your breath will often become slower. And we can assist this process by just slowing down the breath consciously. So allow your inhalation to take more time than it normally takes. And allow your exhalation to also take more time, so that the cycle of your breath is longer. Now you're slowing down your rhythm. And you might notice the effect on your thoughts is to slow them down as well. This is a hard thing to notice, right? The character of your own thoughts. And over time, you might begin to notice it. So we're making the breath deep and we're making the breath slow. Deep and slow. Now, if this is all you're able to do tonight for tonight's practice, that's very good. You will get an effect. You will notice this working. If you'd like to go on, I'm going to add more things for you to do with your breath now. So we'd also like to make the breath rhythmic and centered on your heart. And we can do both of these things with the same action, and that is tuning into your heartbeat, counting the beats of your heart, and making sure that that count is the same as you breathe in as it is when you breathe out. Now, this can be difficult. I know I'm asking a lot right now. Not everyone can feel their heartbeat, so it may take you some time to feel that, and that's okay. If you can't feel it right away, some people can feel it right away, and that's good. If you can't feel it right away, you can place your hands on your heart, and sometimes this will help. Sometimes you'll begin to feel the heartbeat in your hands, maybe even press with your fingertips. You might begin to feel the pulse in your fingertips. There's a great power in placing your hands on your heart. Where your hands go, your attention goes. You place your hands on your heart, and it creates, just by your positioning, it creates a kind of vibe. It creates an intention. You cover your heart. You cradle your heart. You hold your heart. You pay attention to your heart. And all of this has great power. It brings you down into yourself on a deeper level. It brings you into your emotions. It brings you into your heart. Very simple technique, but very powerful. And even more so when you connect it to the breath. And make the breath deep, slow, and rhythmic. Now, if you're working on this practice, if you're trying to learn this style of meditation, this is heart rhythm meditation that comes from Sufism, the Sufism of Hazrat Inayat Khan. You're trying to learn this method, I would like you to really work on feeling your heartbeat, bringing it into balance with your breath, and making your breath slow enough so that you can breathe in for 8 heartbeats and breathe out for 8 heartbeats. By doing that, your breath will be much, much slower than your normal unconscious breath. So on average, we might take perhaps 20 to 25 breaths a minute if we're just breathing normally, breathing unconsciously. If you breathe in the style that I've just taught you, 8 beats in, 8 beats out. Now it depends on how fast your heart beats, right? But if you breathe in that manner, maybe you're taking 4 breaths a minute, maybe 6 if your heart beats faster. So let's say somewhere between 4 and 8, maybe fewer if your heart beats slower. That's a dramatically different breathing rhythm. And over time, that has a big effect on your thoughts and on the kind of character of your thinking. Your thoughts begin to take on a different rhythm. They slow down. I mean, of course, it's the nature of thoughts to jump from one thing to the next. But all I can tell you is, just from doing this many times myself, that the character of your thinking begins to change. The energy changes. And your mind is affected by this. Your consciousness is affected by this. So now we're moving from a decentered, kind of spaced out consciousness, right, which is kind of our normal a lot of the time, to a very focused kind of consciousness. We're concentrating our mind, but we're concentrating it on our hearts. And that makes an immense difference. We are trying to connect these two faculties, our thinking faculty, our mind, and our feeling faculty, our emotional faculty, our hearts. Both of these function much better when they're connected. It feels like your mind slows down and relaxes when your mind knows, I have that connection, I have that support. Because it is your heart, it is your feelings, it is your values, your principles, what you love and care for, that tells you what's important, that tells you what your priorities are. Without a sense of priority, your mind gets lost. Your mind says, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this other thing, right? And yeah, that's true. But what is the thing that is most important? What is the thing that matters most? You need that. That helps you organize the scarce resources that we all have, time, energy, money, and so on, to use them in the best way for us, the best way for those we care about. last step of the practice is to really work on making the breath full. So really bear down on your breath as you exhale. Breathe all the way out. Keep the breath slow and under control. Don't allow it to become jagged, out of control. And then breathe in and breathe in all the way. Expand your belly and expand your ribs all the way up to your collarbones, so you feel that the breath is much, much bigger, much fuller than it normally is. And you may even begin to notice that the energy here goes way beyond what you think of as yourself. That the energy that you draw upon with the breath is in fact unlimited. That your heart can contain all of that energy. Your heart is an endless vessel. In the words of Hazrat Inayat Khan, your heart is larger than the entire universe. And if you can get a taste of that experience, if you can open yourself to that reality, can tune yourself to the infinite, eternal, unbounded, perfect dimension of breath, and feel the truth that that is within you, that that is you on the most fundamental level. And I'll tell you, it really puts your thoughts into perspective. It gives you an anchor. It allows you to focus in a way that is not possible without that. Craft a meaning and a sense of self that coheres, that makes sense. All right, and when you're ready, you can begin to come out of the state and move your body and open your eyes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Mm. Mm.
I'm noticing that my voice sounds kind of like hoarse or something. I'm not sure why that is. Fighting
Because
off something.
your throat chakra is changing.
Maybe so, yeah.
Opening some things. I can't remember the words that you used in that meditation specifically, but there was something that reminded me a lot of where it's like if you the way that I think about it in from psychology is that it's like if it's hard I think you were talking about like it's hard to change your thoughts were the words that you were referencing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's especially difficult like when we don't want to think about something. Like if I told you, don't think about white elephants,
Right.
that would be very difficult not to think about white elephants
Yeah.
when I tell you
Yeah.
don't think about that. And like and then you beautifully like directed like that. It's like we can choose what to focus on, and I think
Yeah.
that's really the key is like we get trapped in this kind of like don't think about it, mindset, but that's just like almost amplifying the energy
Yeah.
But so instead, it's like you're choosing what to focus on instead. And I think that that was such, I just really enjoyed the whole meditation, but that was like the thing that I was like, oh, I want to mention something about that because it's something I think we all can relate to.
Yeah. Thank you. I
Mm.
appreciate that insight. I mean, I think we both had this experience, just, you're out and about in the world, and then somebody learns that you teach meditation and says, oh, I'd love to meditate, but I can't because I got the monkey mind, right? And it's going everywhere all the time. I had a nickel for every time I heard that, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing with yoga. It's like, oh, I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible. I'm like,
Yeah,
well, how does one become more flexible? And also, it's a lot of strength as well.
that's true. But it's kind of like that
Oh,
thing that you said about like you're focusing on the thing that you're not supposed to be thinking about, right? Like,
right, right. Yeah.
oh, my thinking's everywhere, and I'm not supposed to be doing that. I'm doing it again, right? Like, that's the
Ah,
wrong
there it goes again.
psychology,
My
Like,
brain is still working.
yeah,
Yeah.
my brain's still going everywhere. Well, all right, let's not approach it that way, right? Let's go with our psychology, and say like,
Mhm.
don't worry so much about what you're thinking, but focus more on the breath, focus on that, and really try to follow the steps, really try to perfect the breath, and let your thinking, to
Mhm.
some extent, let it take care of itself, right? Like, okay, you don't want to get
Yeah.
distracted, right? But, all right, if you're going off on, okay, well, return your attention to the breath, but like, don't berate yourself. Don't be like, oh, I'm dead. I messed it up again. I did the wrong thinking. Like, all right, let's just chill on that, right? Let's not, not worry so much about it.
Yeah, you just, it's like you just bringing your concentration back and back and back to what you want to, because that's the thing is like we'll fall into our grooves like with our patterns. It's the Hazrat and Icon writes or lectures rather about which are written down so I read. Um he lectures about like these like grooves in the mind, right? Like our
Yeah,
patterns create these like very deep grooves in our mind, which might have started from very early on life, or maybe even like it's inherited, from our ancestors. Like they
yeah.
can really run very, very deep, these grooves. And so we're like, I'm going to create a new groove. And like, we're doing really good with that. And it's almost like we slide into, we slide into like
Easy
the
to
other
slide into
groove.
that old groove. Exactly. Yeah. Look at this. We have
Oh.
a little comment from our dear friend here, Akbar.
My monkeys are riding the white elephants. AQ, good to have you.
Good
Talk
to see
about
you.
breaking the mold. Yes, AQ.
If you can make the monkeys ride the elephants, you're doing great. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm feeling definitely silly tonight. Um, okay, well, let's just do, unless there was something else you wanted to say, I say we jump back into meditation.
Yeah, let's do it.
Unless there was something else, maybe do a little stretch, everybody, because we're gonna dive in and we're gonna do some stuff. Gotta, yeah, anything you need, do a little stretch. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Look at this one here. My brain
Brain is a circus.
sounds very entertaining.
You must be brilliant. I love it. So, it's hard, like, when we have a very active intellect, it's really difficult to rein it in, right? And so you
Yeah,
have to really be interested. Like, so that's why I love tying in emotion into our practices, which we often do throughout the shows throughout different weeks, because it's like when we really care about why we're meditating and what we're doing inside of ourselves. So let's all set an intention for this next one of what is it that you actually want to change. So like there you go, there's something. So like something you actually care about changing, like in yourself. So I know the world is lots of stuff I want to change.
yeah,
But like let's start with ourselves, right? And so something you actually want, like really do want. And so that'll be our intention for this next one, because when we tie that emotion in, um, the circus can perform beautifully, right? So so let's try that out. All right.
All right.
So come into your meditation posture and try to have your knees a little bit lower than your hips if you can, so you can breathe more easily. And then deepen your breathing. Asatara led us through a beautiful first meditation. So let's jump right back into our deep, full breath. And already, so just know that already, just by changing your breath pattern to one that is full, rhythmic, and complete, is already changing patterns in and of itself on a very subtle but fundamental level. I was having lunch with my friend and she said, sometimes it feels like I can't inhale. And what that means is that for her, she said, usually that means that I haven't exhaled completely. I'm having trouble letting go of what I'm holding on to, right? And so try that out, especially if you're having trouble inhaling tonight. Try out, really see where is the bottom of your exhalation? Can you breathe more air out? You can, of course, try that by squeezing the abdomen in toward the spine and really reaching the breath as far as it will go. And there's a trust there, there's a leap of faith there that the next inhalation will come riding back in. And I want that inhalation to come deep into your body. The temptation is to keep it high in the chest. And so let's change that pattern, bringing it deep into your body, as low as you can, maybe even all the way to the base of your torso, the base of your spine. All right, and then maybe bow your head slightly so that you can more easily bring your focus onto your heart as you're breathing. So it's like you bow your head and then you become a little bit more aware of your body. We're only taught to be in our minds for the most part in our society. And so it's honestly a change of pattern even to become aware of your body itself. You can kind of bow your head a little bit, just slightly. And starting to drop your consciousness into your body more, becoming more consciously aware of your whole body and of your heart. There's a lot there. There's like so much happening. The sensation of your skin, the feelings, the energy, the emotion. All of it is connected in somatically. It's not just in our head. And so, but you have to listen, right? So listen as if you don't actually know yourself yet. Be curious about yourself like you don't actually know everything yet. In a way, it's a surrender when you do that. Oftentimes we think, oh, this is me, I know everything, I'm so bored of myself, or I am who I am kind of thing. And if we just take that leap, again, it feels like a leap of faith to look into the unknown and to think that there's actually parts of you that you have not yet discovered. The only way to discover them is to really explore, to really become curious. And then try to keep your consciousness more in your body. As you tune in a little bit more deeply with your heart, continue to breathe full rhythmic breath. And then maybe if you like to, you can place hands to heart center to come a little bit deeper into your heart. Or just really have that sense that you are concentrating, focusing on your heart itself. And so ask your heart tonight what it is that you would like to change. So that can go a lot of ways, and maybe it's something that I find negative about myself that I want to change to a positive. But maybe it's that I just want to amplify a certain positive in myself instead. And so, whatever resonates with you, look into your heart. What is it that you want to change or create in yourself that really is deep inside you, something you really want? And change can happen in a moment. And see, that's another one of these leaps of faith. Maybe it's been a long-standing pattern, but we have to remember that destroying something is faster than creating it. And that counts for our long-stemmed patterns as well. And so just having that belief in yourself, that optimism in yourself, that whatever it is that you've chosen that you want to change, if it is something that is a so-called negative pattern that you don't want anymore, then just trust that that can change in a moment. And it's like we almost show up for that trust as we continue our full breathing in and complete breathing out. It's like we're staying fully present. And we're giving our heart and our consciousness and our mind this safe space by creating a rhythmic breath. And if you're able to breathe in rhythm with your heartbeat, or even just have that sense that you can kind of feel the synchronicity happening between your breath and your heartbeat. If you haven't already, begin to make that conscious connection. And we're going to move into the air breath. And with the air breath, it's particularly important to stay connected with your heartbeat. So that might mean that you keep your hands on your heart the whole time, because you'll find that this breath is very dispersing. It can create an expansion in your consciousness very quickly. And the air breath is to sip the air in and out of your mouth. And so start by focusing on your heart with this and keep that heartbeat in your consciousness throughout the full cycle of breath. And you're still breathing deep, full rhythmic breath. Like you're sipping the air in now, in and out of your slightly opened up mouth. And as you inhale, imagine that it's like you're almost drawing all these parts of yourself, all these parts of your consciousness that are kind of floating through the ethers, thinking about yesterday, thinking about tomorrow, etc. And you are pulling all the parts of yourself into the center of your heart as you inhale. It's like you're concentrating your power, you're concentrating all that is considered you energetically and pulling it in, concentrating it into your center of your being as you inhale. And then as you exhale, it's like this freedom. So as you exhale, it's almost as if you are blowing through all the densities, all the stuck patterns, and allowing it just to unwind, dissipate, and open. So it's the opposite of the first part where we're concentrating into the center. On the exhalation, it's like you're really allowing your own sense of consciousness to expand out in all directions, going beyond your own senses of self. And as you do that, though, stay with the heartbeat. Remember to stay in the center because we're going to do both at once, right? We're going to remember our center while expanding our consciousness. And so it should start to feel like almost like things are getting lighter, or maybe these kind of dense patterns. Every time that you exhale, it's like you're blowing through any density that you feel, and it just starts to naturally dissolve, almost like, I don't know, just something that naturally slips open without any resistance, just unwinds and dissipates without any resistance at all. And then think about earlier with your intention. And maybe there's a place in your body where you really feel somatically that that pattern lives. Like maybe there's a certain emotional response whenever this pattern comes up for you and you feel it somatically in your body. Or maybe it's kind of like a stuckness of your mind, and it's like my actual brain feels like there's this like tension or these certain thoughts that I can't quite get rid of. The next time that you exhale, choose in your body either somewhere that you feel this kind of somatic response of that pattern, or just focus on your actual mind, your actual brain. And as you exhale, imagine that you are blowing into and through the density of that pattern and just giving it space. It's almost as if it's becoming finer and finer and finer and finer, opening out in all directions. Every time you blow your exhalation right through that dense space. You don't have to worry about losing yourself because you're holding onto your heartbeat the whole time. And you also can really trust yourself. You can trust yourself that you'll remember who you are. We're not leaving our body, we're just opening up to our actual expanded consciousness. So don't hold back in that way. Don't grip anywhere. Every time that you exhale, really allowing that pattern to be blown like it's blowing like a fine sand through the wind. And then reconnecting deep in with your center as you inhale. And it's a leap of faith because we're coming more into the blank page of things. We're not writing a solution down. We're not finding the solution with this kind of concentrated experience. What we're doing instead with this one in particular is that we're opening up to the unknown. We're opening up to the wide horizon, the wide space. And it's almost like the more that we open up to it, the more we almost feel held, embraced by it, amongst it, belonging to it. And these lines of separation start to dissolve as well. So take that leap for yourself. Allow the patterns to unwind. Allow the tension to uncoil. And trust that this is already the beginning of that change happening. All right. And then as you're ready, go ahead and let go of focusing and concentrating this way. And then move your body. Thank yourself for practicing. And open up your eyes. Mm,
Nice meditation, Leah. Thank you.
thank you. I felt I felt the vibe tonight for
Yeah,
everybody.
I was feeling that too. But what I was really feeling, and I was experiencing this in your voice, is just that gentleness and compassion that you have, that kind of way that you make one feel held and loved,
Mm.
So thank you for that.
Mm.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
I mean, it does feel like we create this vibe together, and
Mm.
sometimes it just hits your attention, right? And you're just saying, "Oh, okay, something's different." Right?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I was honestly imagining Omar. I don't know if Omar is with us tonight.
Mhm.
I was like, but also, just everybody that we meditate with, I was really feeling this connection with everyone tonight.
Yeah.
So thank you for
Well,
meditating with us.
that's what it's about, and so everyone, we remember we're here every week. We always thinking about how to bring these teachings into our lives, and so if you have any ideas for us, we'd love to hear them. If you'd like to
Mhm.
support the show, we have a Patreon link down there below, and you should follow Leah on Instagram. And we will be here again next week. So until then, keep meditating, keep practicing.
Yeah. Happy meditating, everybody.
Have a good evening.
Thank
Oh,
you.
wait, we have one final comment. Please solve all my problems.
You
Will
got it.
will
Yeah.
do. Okay.
Just keep coming.
We will get right
All
on that.
right. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
We'd be so bored then if we Good night, everyone.